Oh, oh, I'm not sure if they wanted this one. I honestly didn't even expect it. Yep, yep, they still lost. Even with this draw, which is extremely good, but not good enough. They needed Hopeless Nightmare, Full Swing, and kill us for exactly 7. And this is our Diamond promo, so you know what? Hello everyone, it's Sloth here, and today everyone's favorite skeletons, and I have some really good news for you. We actually ranked up with this deck like crazy. We played against all the top meta decks like Esper Bounce, Dimir Bounce, Mono Red, and I think we kinda crushed it. I don't have full stats on this, but I think we went like 7 wins, 2 losses, something like this. All I know, I went from Platinum 1 to Diamond in like 40 or 50 minutes. So this deck seems to be absolutely performing, and it got some massive upgrades. Bloodghast, even though it's not a skeleton, is such a perfect aggressive card for this deck that it will win you so many games. If you aren't a believer, I understand it. After this video you will see that this card literally carries so many games for us. If you force opponent on the defense, and it's also amazing against all the control decks, all the value decks, because they are basically always defending. If they don't have exile effect, they are done, man. They cannot compete with this. And the cool part, the new Lifecraft Engine, which is basically a lord for skeletons, because each creature of the chosen type, and you choose skeleton most of the time, gets +1/+1. It's also a vehicle, so every new skeleton basically has haste. Your skeletons has 3 power with this pump, which means all of them can crew the Lifecraft Engine, including also the Sanctuary, which is even better. So you can instantly hit your opponent's face with extra creature. Bloodghast then gets activated for haste, and every time you play land, all of them go back from the graveyard, hitting your opponent's face even harder. And the best cool part, you can actually name vampires with this, and if you have more Bloodghast than skeletons, because you either draw wrong or you just those are the only one that stick, you can actually pump this, and each one of them is a 3/2 with haste. So this crushes so many decks, and you cannot really defend against this because it's infinite. Like, you always get land, you get 3 Bloodghast, and it's 9 damage in the face with haste. This is crazy. And we also have the Aetherspark, so we can attach it to any of the creatures, and suddenly Bloodghast with Aetherspark is kinda scary, because not only it deals damage, but it actually draws 2 cards every turn, which means your opponent has to deal with this. And when they try to deal with this, you play land and you get it back, you attach again and force them again until they stop having removal and they die. So guys, I'm pretty excited about this deck. Even though it's an aggro deck, skeletons are cool, so I think you will enjoy this video. And guys, let's go in directly into gameplay, and I just want to thank all the new members that joined the channel or Patreon. Thank you guys, it is extremely appreciated, and I hope you enjoy your early videos, you know, so you can be ahead of the ladder. So thank you, and let's go to the gameplay. I mean, this one is probably one of the coolest ones. We don't want to get rid of this. It's also 1 damage, so not the end of the world. Max speed is a little bit worrying, because they will get there very quickly, and their cards might be way better than... Oh my god, can I be on the play, please? Alright, finally. Thank you for one. This is weird, because they should see cut down coming, and that's a very greedy play. We'll try to raise them. Bloodghast is extremely good if you can force your opponent into defensive mindset. Case, see? It's starting to put pressure. That was their full turn and they didn't flip it. As you can see, it actually starts. Here you go, free creature. Thank you, thank you. This is interesting. We can go for Bloodghast, which seems a little bit better overall. Then we could, but next turn is probably the Aetherspark. Let's go like this. I will go for the vampires. And even if it doesn't have haste, it can already crew the engine. Yeah, I like this play. Like, this is such a cool card in this kind of deck, because depending on your decision which type you name, you can play completely differently. Like, Bloodghast right now can actually defend, which is super nice. And they probably don't want to waste resources just to, you know, kill this. Especially that they might even be forced to go 2-for-1. I think they might just... Oh, alright, alright. Sure. And I mean, you can see, this Bloodghast already got us 2 extra cards. And now they also cannot attack. And on the next turn, they won't be able to attack. This Warden might be a problem, so I think we need to go for the throat on this. And we won't be able to either... Well, we will! We actually will. That's cool. So we play land, we get the Bloodghast. Man, this card is carrying the whole game so far. Easy. 3 creatures every turn, and they can also block now. And let's go with this guy. This will be very scary on the next turn. And extremely hard to remove on this one. I'll be honest, if not the Warden, I think the game would be over right now. But this Warden can try to race us in air, especially if they get something that produces tokens. They probably play Gleeful Demolition, 4 of them. Like, one of the reasons you use Nesting Bot is that it's an artifact that doesn't mind being destroyed, because you get it back and then you get 3 extra creatures. So this is 100% a Gleeful Demolition deck. A pretty good one, honestly. Like, this is one of the best 1-drops for this deck. It also matches colors, so you don't need to splash for blue for Siren, which was what this deck was doing. I mean, isn't this Jeskai, right? This is Jeskai, but with this set maybe it goes back to Boros. Alright, now I can start doing stuff. And I cannot really kill it, but let's force them first. And I think we might go for land, into case, into engine on skeletons. Let's go, let's go. This is the first turn when we can actually try to get back into the game. If they have lightning helix, okay, that's fine. We still get the value. That's very nice. Of course they're not losing anything, but that means 2 extra cards for us, and we actually got the solution to our problem, which is absolutely wild. This is really good. I want to make sure that we play it right. And those vehicles are actually so insane in this deck, just because you can use all the skeletons that cannot block normally and all the vampires, and they can actually start blocking in a way. So that's really huge. I gave them the untap and the card because I don't think they can protect the Warden, especially that they probably will tap everything. That's fine. I will give them the Scry. With Aetherspark, we'll basically always be ahead of cards, so if they tapped all the creatures, that makes attacking so much easier, and without a Warden, they won't be able to race us anymore. Alright, now we have to kill it. Easy. Also, we confirmed they have no instants, which is huge knowledge. Like, whenever you know your opponent doesn't have, like, instant interaction, that's huge. That's fine, that's fine. We'll try to work through it. Of course it helps, they will flip both cases on the next turn, probably. And you want to play land later, in case they block the Ghast. Alright, guys, alright. This has to be the skeleton. 10 damage. I don't think they... So, first attack is not threatening, because they need to wait 1 turn before it flips. So 2-turn lethal is actually really good. We could also crew it. It's 4-4, a little bit better, right? This one has Menace, but I don't think they will invest anything into blocking, honestly. Swing off. More damage. This is actually 12 damage, which is really nice. Okay. That's a nice one. Vampire skeleton. And this one is a skeleton. Maybe, whatever. And now let's draw a card. Those cards can be very important. Okay. That's something. Now we have a blocker. Because I only care about not dying on this turn. And when we have... Oh, they have Recruiter. I think it's still not enough, but I guess I should expect it, right? This is only like 12 damage, and we block the biggest creature anyway. I think they just rolled with it because they don't want to actually think if they can win. I think it's just, you know, full swing and see if the game lets you win. See, like they don't even believe in their own game plan. I guess it's okay. We want to be aggressive, and This skeleton's probably like one of the last cards people like to remove because you can tutor something later. Not sure what we would tutor, but I mean we want aggressive start. Treasure map. One of the absolutely favorite cards I have. I absolutely love this. And I think we go for the engine because we can crew it on the next turn and start attacking really hard. And we also can buff damage a little bit on this turn. Yeah, this will make defending for our opponent extremely hard, and it's also resistant to go for the throats like completely. So if they are there with go for the throats, they can do nothing. Probably case. That's painful. That is actually super painful. That was my next turn plan, and because we got 5 lands, whenever you start with a 4-lander, you will get the 5th one, so you get even more flooded. I didn't expect go for the throat, so it means that the next turn is some massive creature probably. Interesting. I still think it's the better play. We can go for Sanctuary on the next turn. Alright, here we go. That's a lot of damage already. Very interesting discard. Let's see, I think they have removal for it. Nowhere to run. Okay. Okay. That's fine. I would expect a demon on the next turn, to be absolutely honest. Like a massive demon. And now... shouldn't we solve the case? Oh, this is a suspected skeleton, it's just a different one. Alright, right. It doesn't specify the one that was created with this card, it's just about not having at all a single skeleton like this. But we can go for the Sanctuary on the next turn. So we will see what we can do. It will depend how much mana they will tap. This one has Menace, so if they play one blocker, we can go around it. But we definitely want to care about like the next draws. Okay. Okay, so they were... I think they were preparing for Ritual Chamber Demon. Alright. We should go like this. This is one of the... I mean, this is main reason this is in the deck, because it can crew this. I mean, it's kind of the same, I guess. So let's go like this. Way better. It's kinda important to hit them as hard as possible, because then they cannot play the demon, because it's too slow. But it will depend on the draw, because, well, no, demon gets them to 5, right? And, well, then this doesn't kill this. Alright, they actually went for it. So if we can draw a creature that is any kind of skeleton, we'll win the game right now. But are we good enough at Magic to win? So let's focus our mythic skills into drawing one card that wins the game. That's it. This is the card that wins the game. Yay, we won. We are the better player. What? No, no, it kinda isn't, but it kinda is, because it has haste. So let's roll with it. This was close, because it cannot crew this, but it has haste on its own, so, you know, I'll take it anyway. Alright guys, I really like this hand. I would love a 2-drop, but you know what? It's good enough, it's good enough. I will play with this guy, because if we draw something for the next turn, like Bloodghast, I will probably play it to just curve out a little bit better. And this one is tapped, so it works worse with Corpses of the Lost. Yeah, let's go like this. We swing. We need to be aggressive, because we actually don't have removal. Which means our removal is killing our opponent. Like, basically, we have to go into this direction. We have Corpses of the Lost into Aetherspark, so there's potential into Sanctuary. Alright, this counter is really good for us, because it's actually not... like, it's kinda underpowered for the stats, but it's very good for versatility. So if you are racing, this is actually a very weak 2-drop. This has to be Sanctuary into Corpses. They didn't expect this burst, so instead of 4 damage, it's 9. And suddenly, well, that's a problem for them. I think we might actually consider cut down, because removing one blocker can be more important. I wonder how defensive they will play. Because obviously they want to raise, they also have to kill us, they also cannot defend against this. We both cannot defend because we are pure aggro. So right now they need to raise, but they also need to keep one creature for defense. If that's Burst Lightning, that's really good for them. That's probably the worst case scenario for us. Because if that is a creature, then we negate it with Cut Down. And then they will probably double attack. We kill the creature and we win. That's the game plan. Unfortunate. The best case for them. 4 damage. Actually +2 because of this one. We will play this. I mean, this is 8 damage. Which means we need to defend for a single turn. I think it's doable, right? I think it is. With Aetherspark we only get 1. It gives us more time, more options later, but there's no later. This is too aggro Explain. It's like 2 cavemen hitting each other with clubs and seeing which one falls first. And we are not the first to fall. I think we go like this. With Cut Down, I hope we have enough interruption. Let's go. 1 to 10. Who is the better player? Who can hit each other face harder with a club? Let's see. I really hope they will bank on some 1-drop to win the game. I need to deal 10 damage right now. I don't really want to show them. I will let this. It's not lethal yet. They need to cast a spell. And this deals the most damage. And 6-9. We are at 1. We are literally at 1. Well, can you see a closer game? Because I cannot. 1-1. Just 2 aggro enjoyers. Oh, no, nice. I'll be honest, this is such a slow hand. I'm not sure if we can take it. Oh boy, I will try it. I think this is not a very good hand, on the draw especially. Alright, you know what? We need True Life. This is bounce, so this will hit something. I honestly think we go like this and we try to go for Aetherspark. I don't think it will work. With bad hand on the draw we are so far behind. The game is practically over before it starts. Momentum Breaker. To be honest, our opponent is giving us a lot of slow turns, so maybe. With Bloodghast in the board, we can start having way more pressure than I expected. Of course we want 4 lands for Aetherspark, but if I discard the 4th one, at some point in the game I will draw it. And you really don't want to get flooded in this kind of situation. You want as little lands as possible just to play your game plan. We cannot do anything here. They have probably the bounce spell. I think they might try to discard our hand. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring, the town, both of those, because this is 2 cards basically. However, the Bloodghast is a problem for Momentum Breaker because it's free. Yep, they're going for it, so we will discard Cut Down probably. To be honest, this is sometimes more expensive version of this. Listen, I will risk it. I might regret it a little bit, but I'm curious. Let's try this play. Sure. I don't think they have too many speed things. It's probably just Momentum Breaker. Here we go. But the problem is that this will actually come back very, very cheaply. And actually for free. And they tapped. And this is actually so good. Because now we can go for Aetherspark. And already attach it. So this would be a bit of a problem to get rid of. And that also means when we hit, we can draw 2 cards if they don't interact with this. Shoot the Sheriff would be probably better against the Reef, not gonna lie. If they kill it, we can play a Swamp and get it back. So this is an interesting play. We need to do a lot of work with this creature. I would love them to be at 10 or lower, but our draw was so slow, we are nowhere there. So we need to actually enter the value game, which we don't really want with this kind of draw. But Aetherspark needs to carry everything. There will be problem, if they can kill this, they cannot activate Reef and attack the Planeswalker. So that's always a bit of a problem for them. Okay, that's fine. We are getting it back on the next turn. But what are you doing about this card, my friend? Land? 3 cards? Yep. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. And we will attach it. Yeah, let's go for this guy, because this is so annoying for them to deal with. Even if they can remove it, it's still a pain. And let's go for the case. We don't really want to keep cards in our hand, unless we have to. And we keep the card down. So this is looking a little bit better. The start was really rough, and I feel that we are super behind, especially with them having this for double discard. But here it gets a little bit better. Now they are forced to answer our creatures, which means they need to draw specific cards on multiple turns, and every time we draw a land, they need to do it again. So that puts a lot of pressure. And if they don't answer it, we draw a lot of cards and we start to outvalue them. They can go for 2 cards already on the next turn. But I would prefer to not have, Aetherspark undefended and unattached. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to force them to first remove creature, and that usually helps defending a lot. Sure. Okay, I'll take the damage. This is definitely not their best play. Oh, I'm not sure if they wanted this one. I honestly didn't even expect it. Oh, this is so good for us. Yeah, sure, let's go. Yep. This meal actually self-defeated them. Opponent is going first, which pains my heart, because on the play, this would be close to auto-win. On the draw, we'll see. It could be either way. But we'll try. So, you definitely want to pick either Miner or Conscript. There's no defense, and we have mostly skeletons right now, so this probably won't come back for a long time. This might if we draw a removal and they play something, so I think this one is a little bit better, because you expect to lose it. Slick Shot, on the play, mono red. I mean, that's probably a good way to start the game. We need to be ultra aggressive here, and we'll try to kill them into turns, and we'll probably die into turns because they are on the play. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this game will be lost because they will hit us first because they are on the play. If we're on the play, we would win. They're on the play, so they won. And that's pretty much it. Aggro against aggro is basically mostly about who starts. Because if you scale damage like crazy, so let's say turn 2 is like 5 damage, turn 3 is 15 damage, and turn 4 can be like 30 damage. I mean, whoever gets to those turns first wins. As you can see, we can basically do the same thing, but we are 1 turn behind, and now we will die. See? This is the turn that we are already in, and now they have basically a time walk, and they will hit us first. The only choice to win this game is hoping that they don't draw correct cards, because if they have like, yeah, see, whoever is on the play wins this matchup. All right, our opponent is a mono red on the play, our favorite, and honestly I will just kill it. It's way too powerful. I could wait, but they will try to attack anyway. And when they attack, they can already cycle the card, so I really don't want to give them anything. Especially if they go for this version, because this is a cycling version. I didn't expect Izzet, but that makes a lot of sense. So, we'll go like this, and we'll hit with Tinybones with Engine on the next turn. So this is already 6 damage, and I think they are dead. Because we have way more aggression, this Go for the Throat probably won the game. Removing this first slow creature, this is basically their investment. This is their high value late game card, the 2-drop. And when you get rid of it, it's very hard for them. So they want to keep drawing cards, but they can only probably draw 1 or 2 before we kill them. So it's not the biggest deal, and so cycling does absolutely nothing. It just draws a card. So whenever they are behind on board and they do this play, it's really bad for them. So right now you play the engine, you go for skeletons, you play Tinybones, and you go for this one. This is not a skeleton, and now everything is pumped enough so this cannot block. This is already what, 8, 11 damage, so they basically cannot do anything here. The key turn was removing Inti. Oh man, I would love to be on the play on this one. Bloodghast are so much better on the play because you force your opponent to deal. Is that alright? I think this might be a fun. Very nice, very kind. So let's go Conscript. Bloodghast are actually pretty good against control as long as they don't get exiled. So we'll see. Momentum Breaker, sure. Not the biggest deal. Not the biggest deal. Might come back. Do we go with Bloodghast already? I generally prefer to have 2 creatures instead of 1. But this forces an exile effect. Otherwise they take damage. And it gets better later. This will be very hard. If I would prefer to have a cut down instead of shoot the sheriff, because this basically protects your creatures against the exile. Oh, this is bounce. I was sure this will be a control deck. Like from the hello, I was sure this is a fellow control player. But with this, it's a little bit different. And that's why we did it. This basically did absolutely nothing. It's not like I didn't plan to play a land on this turn, you know? Like, it's the same. It's the same. So, this is very interesting turn. Do we want Tinybones? We can steal their stuff. I like stealing their stuff. It's mine. Maybe, we'll see. So, who is ahead? We might be ahead depending on this turn, but right now I feel that momentum is a little bit in our opponent's favor just because they were on the play. I think, yeah, they are on the play. Oh man, this is 100% something we need to kill. They already got 1 card back. Man, if we draw a land, we can steal this. That would be huge. Alright, I guess we aren't stealing it. That's not huge. Alright. I mean, let's be honest, this is a perfect cut down target. And now we can try to be aggressive. Let's go. And if they go for Bloodghast, they won't. Yeah, this is the correct call. But if they did, we could get the Conscript. I will just try to kill them with Bloodghast. Or at least force enough pressure so they try to... You really want to force your opponent into answering those, because they never end. But if your opponent can ignore it and try to kill you first, that's a bit of a problem. Okay, I mean, that's a start. Momentum Breaker is not very good for them. It still does something, but it's not like crazy. It all depends when we draw the next land, of course. I can kill this. Fully tapped, fully tapped. Not a land, a bit unfortunate. So I think I have to shoot the sheriff this, Conscript, and keep attacking. Not my favorite. You don't really want them to bounce this with anything, because it's so much value. And whenever they get to 10, it becomes way worse for them. That's why I would love, right? Non-skeleton creature. What was this sentence? Sometimes my brain is just elsewhere, you know? But you get the idea. Words do not matter. You get the intention, and that's what counts. So whenever we draw a land, we get 2 extra creatures, but they are not at 10 yet. Oh my, are you serious? Oh, drawing this card is usually game over. We needed more tempo. This is the best card of their deck, hands down. Basically, as long as this is in the battlefield, you cannot raise them. They get free removal, and also it's so hard to target a creature. So very rough spot. They will also never be below 10. So, you know, we need to roll with it. That's hard because our game plan is racing them. So yeah, if you draw Shelter by Ghost, it's hard to not be ahead. Like, they're life gaining 3 a turn and will die very soon. Especially with Nightmares in their deck. So I need them to whiff, and I probably need a very good draw that matches Shelter by Ghost. This actually might be one of them. Okay, with this draw there is a chance. I think we name Ghasts. They will be the most annoying ones. And even if they don't have haste, the engine will have. Let's go for the vampires, because they're very cool. Let's roll. And we actually will not even get them below 10 with this attack. Nowhere to run, good for them. But on the Bloodghast, yeah, that's the problem. Normally they would be below 10 very easily after this turn, which means land is close to killing them on the next turn. But with Shelter by Ghost, bro, not even close. And they have Anchorage, so it's already 5 damage. I don't see it. Maybe if we get some... Well, we need to draw removal, simple as that. Cool. This might be the best card. I'll be honest, this might be the only card that allows us to try this. And they cannot kill us. We have to play this, and we can go for the engine. They cannot do literally anything. This is probably the only draw that kept us in the game. With this we can probably win. This is 9. Oh my god, this is actually lethal from the top. Well, I guess I was the better player, I just didn't know about it. But to be honest, if not this draw, this is the best card of our deck. Oh, I absolutely forgot about it. Fair, that's fine. But they have only 5 damage right now. So they need to have exactly the Nightmare. Everything has flying, so we would play this exactly like this. Like, we don't have other choices, we just play the cards. If they have Hopeless Nightmare, they will win. If they don't, I don't think they have anything they can get back from the graveyard with level 2. Still. Level 3 doesn't matter because it's too expensive. All that matters is this card from the top. Let's go. This will make things so much easier. I have to say, those 2 draws won me the game. Like, we were losing. We were actually losing this. And I will go with the engine, just to go even harder. We want to close the game on this turn, and they have lifelink, so you need to make sure, they also have the Anchorage. You need to make sure that you overkill them by a lot. And with that I'm pretty sure we won. Oh, they actually drew this. Is that enough even? I'm not sure. Alright. This is extremely good draw, man. It's funny because right now the whole game is like who draws what. Like, I'm just spectating the same as you. But now they cannot use Anchorage. Is that enough? It's still 10 damage. So they still lost. Even with this draw, which is extremely good, but not good enough. They needed Hopeless Nightmare, full swing, and kill us for exactly 7. And this is our diamond promo, so you know what? I'll take my double Corpses of the Lost draw to win the game. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this was a pretty fun one. I have to say that skeletons are super fun, and yeah, I didn't mention it in the intro, but it's super important. If you ever played skeleton deck, you know where the problem is. The problem is always 2 drops, because when you actually filter, I'm sorry members, I still love you, but we need to do some research. Skeletons. Yeah, good enough. Let's check this one. Oh wow. Suddenly it sucks. The only good skeleton is Case of Stash Skeleton, and it's actually not amazing because it's 2 mana, 2/1. Menace is a very good upside, but it also cannot block. And when you realize there's no good skeletons for 2 mana, and I specifically checked for Aetherdrift, because I really hoped we have some new ones, and as a control player I didn't pay attention until this video, but unfortunately we don't. That's the reason Bloodghast is so perfect for this deck. Go away skeletons. This fills the hole in the curve. It synergizes, maybe not with Corpses of the Lost, but it still has haste if your opponent is, hurt, basically, at 10 or less life. But at the same time, it goes back from the graveyard, and it gives you this missing card advantage. Sometimes those skeletons die too fast. Like Tinybones is probably the worst one because it's just 1 damage. Many decks can literally ignore it. I took it basically for the synergy with Corpses of the Lost and potentially forcing trade because of the Death Touch and the ability. But you don't really have this huge power that red decks have. With Bloodghast, you are starting to have it, and the fact that you can name Lifecraft Engine, and I know it seems like it doesn't fit because you either name this tribe or this tribe. It's a decision. You need to predict what the game plan will be, but it actually works surprisingly well, because most of the time your opponent will try to ignore this and kill all the other creatures because those are always coming back. So if you pump this, you put your opponent into this absolutely awkward situation when they need to answer this instead of your skeletons, because this deals so much more damage, especially with Aetherspark. But at the same time it gets them nowhere because this is coming back every turn. And it's always growing stronger, and when it gets haste, it's an absolute nightmare to answer. So your opponent is taking damage from the skeletons, trying to answer the card that cannot be answered, and suddenly you are getting way more ahead every turn, and at some point they realize this is a losing game plan. So yeah, I think the synergy is pretty surprising, and even if you don't have your opponent at 10 or less life, so they don't get haste, there's a very cool interaction. You name this card with the engine, then it comes back whenever you play a land, and that gives it haste basically because you instantly hit with a 4 for it. It's also an artifact, so of course Go for the Throats won't work on this. So you, even without having haste, you actually have haste with this strategy. And I think this is the reason this deck performed for me so well. Because with this you have this extra haste effect that normally Skeletons decks don't have except Corpses of the Lost. So this is working very well. And before we just go into deeper into the deck, because I actually have a lot of thoughts after playing with this pretty simple deck, but it actually has so many like small avenues to just diversify during the game based on how you feel you can win. First, thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you guys for just appreciating the channel and trying to help it. That's very nice and very generous of you. So I'm super thankful, and I hope you're enjoying the new content with the new cards. We are trying to squeeze the best of them, and definitely Lifecraft Engine is the card that you will see probably in a lot of decks, because this is like a missing lord, and this being a vehicle makes it so much better against sweepers. It doesn't die to Sunfall, it doesn't die to Lockdown because it's 3 converted mana cost, and it is very powerful and lets you get this extra damage every time you play a creature, you hit your opponent's face, and that might be like 8 missing damage, and that's very often the difference between winning and losing. After playing with the deck, and by the way, Sanctuary is here, of course it would be here anyway, because we have this crazy skeleton synergy and we want some lands. However, colorless mana can hurt you. This is double black, this is actually very strict mana cost. That's why we don't play 4, but I feel that 2 is a little bit too little. Sometimes, alright, you will just miss it for one turn, you play Case or other Skeletons, so that was a trade-off, but I think it's still worth it. However, with Sanctuary, you can always turn it into a creature and instantly crew the engine, even if it enters the battlefield on the same turn and has Summoning Sickness, so it cannot attack. This crews engine perfectly. One of the cards I'm not fully sure is the Aetherspark. It actually works very nicely, it helped me win some games, but it's very expensive, so I would honestly go to 2, and I would think of a replacement if maybe adding more removal helps your early game. The problem is that there are not many good skeletons, so it's very hard to add something, because like if you actually check the skeletons, like all the cool ones are already in the deck. Sorry, it's skeleton. Here, you can see some deck building on the channel. I know you like this stuff. So as you can see, all of the cool ones are already taken. This one isn't good. Like this one, please let's not talk about it. This is very fun but not working. And this one is actually interesting, but it has a different synergy. Like it's with this card deck. The only upside is that it has pretty decent stats. It doesn't die as easily, and with the Corpses of the Lost, it's actually a 2 mana 2/3, which is nice, but you actually want a 3/3 for 2 mana because you are investing a different card into amplifying it. So that's like one of the pain points for Skeletons. It's hard to find good ones, and there's also a hidden power. Where are you? Alright, I don't know how you write it, but I know how to search for it. Here, we have extended outro with some deck building. Isn't it exciting? Where are you? I know. Listen, it's a creature. Let's just go with a creature. Where are you? I know you are somewhere here. Here you go. This is your missing skeleton, and I usually played with this just for the synergy. But with the Bloodghast, it got so much better. Even though they don't have perfect synergy with the deck, it actually is such a strong card that it fits the archetype. So maybe not skeletons, but it's perfect for the aggro decks, and this is an aggro deck, and it's good enough. It actually made the deck better. But Aetherspark is something I would try to think what could replace it. It's fun, I loved it, but I don't think it's the most effective choice. There must be something more and something better, but I couldn't find it, and this helps a lot to win games. But I would definitely go down to 2 and start there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me if you enjoyed some deck building and checking the cards and giving some insight on why the deck looks like this. I hope you enjoyed. We all like magic and deck building and this stuff, and yeah, I think I had really good results with this one. I didn't have the stats like the tracker, so I actually cannot give you the exact ones, but I can tell you, I think I went from bottom of Platinum 1 into Diamond in like 50 minutes. And I think we won around 7 games, and I think I lost 1 or 2, I don't remember exactly, but that would fit, like, the progress we were seeing. So I think this is how it went for me. I hope it will go well for you. And by the way, for the Gear Hulk video that you have seen yesterday, I forgot to mention, this was my last Mythic wildcard. I'm actually not having a single Mythic right now, so I hope you enjoyed the Gear Hulk, and please support the channel. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for being here. It is extremely appreciated, and yeah, I hope you had a good fun today. So thank you, and see you tomorrow.